Hello. Sorry, I didn't prepare myself exactly for a program because there is very little time. Spain, Cape Verde is in 20 minutes and I wanted to make it in time. By the way, I am just coming from playing Spain, Cape Verde. We played 5-on-5 on sand with ice hockey nets and goals. And the Spaniards, of course, had no problems to find 5 people. Cape Verde is a small country, so I had to temporarily naturalize Cape Verde. Well, anyway, it was 0-0. We held them back. I don't think that will happen in 20 minutes. I think that Cape Verde will not be able to hold Spain. But anyway, sorry again for my appearance. Half of the first round of the group stage is over. We saw 24 of the 48 teams. We watched Brazil and Germany, 2 of the restricted club of 8 of World Cup champions in the history of a World Cup starting 1930. Italy is out, so the remaining 4 former champions are on the other side of the table. And it's a very important fact because this is the result of a draw and there is nothing you can do about it. So it doesn't look very balanced. The road to New York to July 19th is going to be a little bit, roadmap I mean, is going to be a little bit unbalanced until the round of 8. Then the tables start to cross, the 2 sides of the table start to cross. Now, what should I say? I should just give you an example that in a knockout round, 32 knockout round, the first game is going to be 2A against 2B. That is to say, Mexico or South Korea against Canada, Bosnia, Herzegovina or Qatar. Not a very heavy weight fight. It's going to be sort of not very attractive game on paper. In reality, it may be become very attractive. But so to make it a little bit more balanced, I included Netherlands among the heavyweights. Why? Because in the past 50 years, starting 1974, Holland or the Netherlands played 3 World Cup finals. So I think they deserve at least great attention, at least. We talked quite in detail about Brazil, and now we'll talk more about Germany and Holland. But before I do that, I would like to say a few words about the games that we did not cover. Starting from Scotland, Haiti. We played in Boston. To me, Scotland seemed like a hardened piece of resin. Like it was no really movement. I don't know, maybe they were nervous. The first game, they didn't play in a World Cup for a long time. Anyway, at the very beginning of the match, John McKinnon scored. He has a lucky right foot now because he scored 2 goals in the Europa League final for Aston Villa, and he scored in the opening match, Scotland's match, his right foot. It was an incredibly visible rebound, but still the goal was attributed to him because I think that the football gods decided to tell the FIFA officials, don't spoil his heroic moment, just let him be the author of the 3rd goal, important goal in a row. It's a very important goal for Scotland, and to keep in mind that Scotland won the first time since 1990, if I'm not mistaken, in Italy, in the World Cup in Italy. So it's been almost 66 years that Scotland did not win. And then I come to a game which was really a surprise for very many. It's Australia that managed to beat Turkey 2-0. The Turkish papers were very aggressive, obviously. If I look at the headlines of some more circulated and read papers in Turkey, you have Cumhuriyet, that headlines shocking the European press about Turkey. Montella was a disappointment. Vincenzo Montella is the head coach. I take words of a very famous in Turkey expert, Nihat Kaveci. He basically, the subtitle is Kerem turned into a fish out of the water. I think that he certainly is talking about Turk Oguli, who is a very, very short guy. He's mobile, he's very quick, he plays well on the wing, but in the center of attack among those, that huge forest of 2-meter high or tall or 190 centimeters tall Australian defenders, he was not capable of doing anything. And maybe in fact here Montella made a mistake, but because he probably expected that such a small guy would be absolutely unnoticed between those long Australian legs. Well, anyway, I played for a Turkish club for 2 seasons in Montreal. I know the Turkish mentality. It doesn't matter. I mean, in my team, we had former quite good level players. Montella does not understand Turkish, and even if he has a translator, he does not understand the microclimate. It was the same thing with me. We were 2 foreigners in that team, me and an Israeli guy, and we didn't speak Turkish, of course, and we didn't understand what we were talking to each other. The coach, he would give instructions in Turkish, and then to us, to us separately in English, so that everybody could hear it, or in French, I mean, because we were playing in Montreal. And I know that the microclimate is much more important than the climate that the manager sees, because there are friendships, there are talks in the corners of a dressing room, in the showers. I mean, you know, it's a microclimate that if you don't speak the language, you miss it as a coach. And I am absolutely certain that the players underestimated Australia. They just underestimated. They thought they would have an easy win. And in fact, Australia scored on 2 counters. You know? I mean, the ratio of shots on goal was incredible. I mean, Turkey had, I don't want to again be mistaken, but above 30 attempts on goal compared to 7 or 8 that Australia had. So they underestimated. But in the Turkish character, and let the people of Turkey, excuse me, but in their character is immediately to look for a guilty one. Who is guilty? So now Vincenzo Montella is guilty. Instead of forgetting, just extracting the lessons and learn from mistakes for the next game, they're going to spend quite a few days looking for the guilty one. So the problem is going to be for Turkey more psychological than technical or tactical. And I hope that Montella can somehow change the climate in the microclimate. But now it's a big question. And now we come to the biggies. So Germany. Germany played an easy game on paper, Curacao. Curacao means heart in Portuguese. And it's a small country of 150,000, not a lot of people to select from. But 25 of the 26 in the squad started their football and were educated in football in Dutch academies. So basically it's a Dutch team. Okay, it's not an A team, it's not maybe even a B team, but it is certainly a strong C team. And Germany won 7-1. I like Germany because I saw the right balance of creativity and physique. And if we keep in mind that Manuel Neuer, who is a goalkeeper, and he is 40, I think today he is the only keeper-sweeper, in a sense that the role of Beckenbauer, that was invented by Franz Beckenbauer, the Kaiser, the sweeper, or later it was called in Italian libero, and everybody used the word libero. Basically, Neuer as a goalkeeper, he fulfills that role. And that's the only team in a World Cup that has a goalkeeper like that. That is sweeper, keeper, or keeper, sweeper. But yeah, maybe Havertz is not a great goal scorer compared to the great scorers of the great Germanys. I mean, Gerd Müller, Uwe Seeler, even Völler. I can remember many of them when Germany won the World Cup. They had great center forwards, but this team has a lot of creativity. And I think that Germany you cannot write off. Besides, you never can write off Germany. As Gary Lineker once said, that everybody plays 90 minutes, but for some mysterious reason, Germans always win. What else could I say about Germany, which is important to me? You can, and now you start a little bit the mystery of numbers. 7-1. In what World Cups, if ever, did Germany score in the final stage strictly 7 goals? It happened in 1954, they scored in 2 matches 7 goals, and in 2014 in Brazil, where they scored 7 goals in the semi-final against Brazil. I think to Brazilians it was like a bomb falling on them, and they still didn't recover from that 7 goals in the 7 goals scored against them in 1 game in a semi-final on Maracanã. They lost to Maracanã in 1950, the final against Uruguay. It took them 8 years to come to their senses. Here they still didn't come to their senses, and we see it. So Germany, that scored 7 goals, always wins the World Cup. Well, a thing to remember. Another thing to remember is with Holland, and that was even more curious. There is a person, it's Joachim Klement. He's an economist, and he's quite well known in the financial circus economist. He is a German economist, he's an investment strategist, he worked in Liberum Capital in London. He predicted 3 of the last World Cup winners. And it's fantastic. 2014, which was very difficult to predict. No, it was easy. Everybody predicted Brazil, but it didn't happen. And he said it would be Germany, and it was Germany. In 2018 in Russia, he said it would be France. Well, okay, France won. And in 2022, he predicted Argentina. And Argentina, after losing their first game to Saudi Arabia, nobody took them into account. But Lionel Messi is Lionel Messi. So, and he predicted the winner of 2026, Holland. And at the beginning, I was very skeptical, if not to say ironical. Even, so I said, okay, 3 times is enough. But I started watching Netherlands, Japan, and the first half was very balanced. They respected each other incredibly. They defended, they attacked, but very moderately, because they wouldn't allow any counterattacks. I mean, it was a lot of respect on the field, not It was not very spectacular, but it was a lot of respect. Second half started and respect melted, and on the 54th minute, Van Dijk, the captain of Liverpool and the captain of Netherlands national team, scored the usual header, his classic sort of gesture in football. He scored the header. It was the 54th minute, and I had a look at the history of Holland-Japan games, if any, in the World Cups. And all of a sudden, I see that in South Africa, in 2010, they played in the same group, and Wesley Sneijder scored the winning goal on the 54th minute. And I said, no, that can't be. And I all of a sudden started with Joachim Klement must be really a guru, because if Holland is repeating what is done in 2010, it will go to the final. That my bewilderment, it lasted about 5 minutes because Japan equalized. Then Holland, Somerville, a guy, sort of, he's from a Suriname family, but he chose the Netherlands as his football homeland. So he scored the second goal for Holland, and in the last minute Japan equalized. I'm just telling you the sequence of goals, but I mean, it was really a good game. It was a very good game. I think that Ronald Koeman, who is, in my opinion, a very good coach for the Dutch national team. He played for it. He knows the mentality of the country. He played for Barcelona. He has a very good pedigree, a good background. He's a fantastic player. He was a fantastic defender, and he did with his feet what Van Dijk is doing with his head. On the 80th minute, he decided that it's time to defend the narrow 2-1 victory, and he substituted Gravenberch, who had from Liverpool, by the way, a very, very good game. He substituted him with Ake, defender. So he decided to defend the 2-1. How does a coach tell the players win or keep the result? By substitutions. If you substitute a midfielder with a defender, it's an obvious signal to the team: go back, build a wall, don't let them come close. But that doesn't happen in football very often. The contrary happens, and it happened here. Japan scored last minute, 2-2. So, but both teams left not a bad impression. I still think that Holland is not up to reaching the final. Really, it's not. But now I pay more attention to what Joachim Klement said, and if Holland gets closer to his prediction, and I'll tell you what criteria he uses to predict the eventual winner of a final stage of the World Cup. And now that's it. I'm running to watch Spain against Cape Verde.